because like I don't know, just like the side obliques, I think that's what they call it. I've never used before, and so they hurt.
When you were running last night?
Yeah, sprinting 2 nights ago.
Sprinting for what?
Because my sweet mate was doing it because he's trying out for football. And I was
now,
like,
is that your person in your suite that lives with you, or like your sweet mate?
I've got a roommate.
Okay.
The suite.
I think it's a little bit of both.
It might be both.
We call each other our sweeties.
Oh yeah, definitely a bit of both.
You guys hang out together late at night. You stay up in bed, talk about girls or boys.
Honestly, I think there's a possibility that
theirs.
one of my sweet mates is bi, at least. But
And poke the bear on that.
well, I'm straight, so no.
Okay, that doesn't. That's
What
not what that means.
does that have to do with
Are
Are you not allowed to?
sexually?
That doesn't mean right. That's not. I didn't mean like poking his bear.
That's what I mean. That's just what I.
It's not that
Let's see. I was gonna say give me the name, but we probably shouldn't do that on there.
No.
Oh, so I forget
But
his
give me
last name.
Huh? You
I
don't know.
always forget his last name. Is it recording?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
There we go. Hello everyone, welcome to the Experience Podcast with me and someone else.
And someone else? Someone else.
You're still making that joke?
Yeah, that's
It never
literally the slogan.
Didn't laugh the first time.
Well,
Oh.
ugh. Also, did you come up with questions?
I did.
So Steven said 2 weeks ago?
Last 2 weeks ago.
Last week? Was it last week?
No, it was 2 weeks ago because last
When
week,
was last week?
we had the boys on.
That was and
Brandon.
yeah. So this week, yeah, it's you gotta listen to the podcast, Joe. Clearly you don't. And
You
so
think
2
I
weeks ago,
listened?
Steven complained that we didn't have questions for our guests. But then I said we're bringing Peter on. He'll just talk about anything.
Yeah.
That's fair.
He'll
But
just.
did you still have questions? I kind of like.
I guess Connor has questions, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm okay with questions.
Yeah, so I think that'd be a better bit of flow. It'd be something different.
Solid.
Yeah, plus that's on my mind right now is Georgia politics, and I don't think y'all want to hear me ramble about that.
You can hear that on the Peter Politics
There's actually like
podcast, Triple P.
No, there are 3 Georgia politics podcasts.
But is it by Peter? Is it
No,
Peter's
none of
Politics
them are
podcast?
I
Triple
know,
P.
I get it, yeah. Like
Is
Peter's
it-
Politics podcast, the public policy.
Oh, Peter's what?
Peter's Politics podcast.
Say that 3 times fast.
Peter's
Peter's Public Policy Politics Podcast.
There you
Podcast.
go.
Oh, I almost made it.
You almost got it.
Peter's public policy podcast.
No?
Politics podcast.
No?
Peter's Public Policy Georgia Politics Podcast.
No, you can't put Georgia. It's got to be all P's.
Peter's Public Policy Politics Podcast.
It's pretty easy.
Irish wristwatch. I'm not very good at that one.
What?
I can only say Irish wristwatch.
Irish
once.
wristwatch.
It's really hard. I think the listeners really want to hear us say.
All right, Connor's just reading an article now.
Do y'all
I
edit?
found a good one.
Do y'all edit these at all?
No.
No.
Are you gonna? Y'all should.
Why?
Why?
Because we just said Irish wristwatch for like a minute.
Irish
That's
Fans
part of the
love it.
podcast.
Did you look up the like 24 questions to ask somebody to make them fall in love with
He
you?
did. He literally did.
I actually found.
You should look that one
Look,
up.
this is a good one. What are some good questions to ask in a podcast interview on Quora?
This is an interview,
There's
though.
10
This
right
isn't
here.
an interview. We are
I don't
not
know.
interesting
Do
people.
the pull up something completely random. I
Dude,
trust
this
you to
is
find
definitely
something
gonna
completely random. It
I
should
believe
be
in
this.
you.
All right, so let's catch
Don't
up. So
lie.
Peter and Chandler have obviously been on the show before. Chandler
what you're
more
talking
so than Peter. No, we've had everyone from
Who are
Dan to Chandler to Peter to
Dan was on the
Steven.
podcast?
Yeah, Dan usually comes on with Chandler. He couldn't come on this week, so we got backup Dan.
Yeah.
Which is Peter Tilley.
I feel like I'm more like Dan.
You are kind of backup. You're my backup Dan.
I'm backup Dan.
You know what? I think technically I did ask Dan like a minute before I asked you. But the
I
plan was to bring you both back on. And then I was like, oh, no. You know what? I think I asked Peter first, and then you didn't respond for like a day.
Yeah.
And so then I went, okay, let's try Dan and Chandler. And then the next was going to be someone else who probably I'll try to get on next week.
Mm-hmm.
But she's a pretty big guest that I can't reveal.
I think.
How did it go with those 2 girls that y'all just found at the party?
Oh, well, Connor can go
That
into
was
that.
recorded.
They recorded the
went-
podcast.
Did you post it?
Yeah,
It's
it's
posted.
I think it was
It's
episode
there.
like 24.
It's called the Meta episode?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I titled it.
It went
You're
decent.
welcome.
We didn't think they were actually gonna come.
Right.
And then
Well,
like
that's a okay. There was so many jokes there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's a problem that Connor
Anyway,
usually has.
how-
Okay, yeah.
Like those Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez videos of her like dancing in college came up, and she got like made fun for it, and it was literally just normal dancing. That's made me so paranoid for if I ever run for office. And the poke the bear joke, or the multiple times I talked about a touchy subject on the last podcast that we won't bring up. Boy, we won't bring up my name. And I'm just getting so anxious for that.
Look,
stuff.
if they find this podcast, then that's great news for everyone.
yeah.
Including the whatever campaign is running against me.
Exactly.
Phenomenal news for them.
Exactly.
Everyone but you.
It's just good for us. We did redesign the logo. Did you guys see?
I did.
I did actually notice that.
Yes, we
It's
redesigned
pretty
it.
good.
And Owen noticed that it kind of makes an E too.
Really?
Like
I
the
did
black
not
bar
notice a
with the
C.
black bar in the middle, and then the yellow. So it's
I did
like
not.
It's
Check
like a
that
half
out.
E.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird E. I was saying we should maybe try it in the future. If we redesign again, we should try to make like a hidden. You know, every good logo has like the hidden thing.
Yeah,
like
like
Tostitos
FedEx
has like the
logo,
FedEx, Tostitos. They all have
Amazon.
Amazon. All has like the hidden message in the middle, whatever.
An apple.
Apple. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really
Pretty on
think
spot
that
now.
one's hidden.
Mm-hmm.
That one's literally just an apple.
We should. I'm gonna try to get Adam Gardner back on.
I don't know who that is.
That was a
What do you
pretty.
mean it looks like an E?
A little bit.
I don't see it.
Owen just said offhandedly. I think he was just trying to.
But see, that was
move
my
on the
idea.
conversation.
Have it outside, because Daniel had it in the center, and I was like, "What if we?"
I didn't have it
inside?
center. The default was center.
Okay, but technically,
And then
you're the
you-
one doing it, so you were the one.
I said, "Do you want to change anything?" And then you said, "Move that over."
Okay, so we decided to move it up to the side, and it looks good. So what? Who should I ask first?
Who looks like they don't want to answer the question?
Chandler. What is your craziest and most wild story right now? That's legal, or illegal if you want to tell a legal story.
Yeah.
Craziest and most wild. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It
I've-
doesn't really get wild or crazy.
I think he what? Who was?
It's really smart asking Chandler first, because it would probably for me be like,
Yeah, because Peter can just talk about anything.
no, I just don't do.
Well, I already
anything
think I know
crazy
because
wild.
running shirtless reading a newspaper is pretty crazy.
No,
That is
That's-
pretty crazy.
Nah.
bad.
That's a little crazy.
It's a little bit crazy.
I ran in the rain.
You still
barefoot.
doing that? You still doing
No,
it? You still
but I
doing
did run
it?
barefoot in the rain, and there were lots of acorns on the ground.
Let's talk about Chandler's shoes.
Chandler's shoes.
Why
still
back to the
wearing
goddamn
shoes.
shoes?
I forgot
what's
about that.
wrong
Why
with
would you
it?
remind me of that? I really forgot.
Goddamn feet.
What's wrong? They're shoes.
No, they're
going
fine.
hiking
Connor
with
just
his
hates them. Connor just hates those
They're
shoes.
secretly lesbian.
Me? Absolutely.
No. Is this the time that you're bi, or is this the time that you're straight?
I think all of that's just kind of fused.
Oh, now it's
So
fused.
now it's like 50-50.
No,
it's just like
it's not oscillating anymore. It's averaged out to more
Oh,
like
we figured out the numbers. I think Owen figured out that it's like. I forgot.
it's like 60. It's like 3366 or something like that. I
No,
don't
that
remember.
wasn't it. That wasn't.
I totally
No,
don't
there's
remember.
there's a test for this, the Kinsey scale.
I got a
It's
2
like a
on
1 through
that,
6.
which is
Me too.
more than incidentally, but it's
No.
not.
Yeah, but all those
bi.
tests. There's tons of like, are you bi tests online, but most of the time they just ask you a bunch of random questions that don't mean
No,
anything, and
this
at the
one
end they ask
This
do
one's
you
like
like
actually
men
like
and do
a
you like
scientific
girls?
thing.
Well, the test itself,
Space.
the scale
I
is,
mean-
this one is literally like, do you have like close romantic relationships with someone? And so, like, the answer yes, obviously, it's going to
Yeah.
put you more into it. But it's sort of like, I don't know, it's very straightforward with it.
It's, you know.
I think the reason it puts me at a 2 is because like a lot. The one question that I think tips it is like, are you like disgusted by the idea of like
Fornicating.
yeah, and the answer is no. Am I turned on by it? Not necessarily, but my mind doesn't like reject it. Like it's not like that's gross.
You're just like, well, that's happening, but I'm busy.
Basically, is what
Busy.
yeah.
Like Chandler's like busy doing homework, but it's
Right.
happening.
And it's like I don't care. I'm gonna do my own thing. It's not. It's
Exactly, he's doing his own thing.
I'm doing my own thing. That's how it is. I don't
We're
know.
all just doing our own.
That's how it is.
Speaking of homework, I forget what major you are.
I'm psychology.
And you're not. How is that at Tech? Because, like, I don't know. That feels like a weird major at Tech because all of the STEM stuff I just think of.
Dude, we've had this conversation, okay?
Have we?
Yes, we have. He's not psychology.
I'm not psychology.
You're not psychology.
I'm in math and chemistry.
No. Well, if you combine those two, he's
Yeah.
that.
Minus the math, add the engineering.
Y'all are both chemical engineers.
Yeah.
That's pretty boring. Okay.
It's very interesting. he's like me 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Why didn't you go into material sciences?
Because
It's very different. It's not as close as people think.
Really, I would think those are very.
Material is much more mechanical.
I think he was asking me the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, expert. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, next question. If you could time travel, what would you change about your
These
past?
are such boring questions.
What
Go
is
to
that?
that-
What
go to
is
that-
that?
Good question.
Go to that top
It says-
45 ways
No,
to make
literally
someone fall in love with you.
This. Look at this list.
That's a good
Look at this list. 101 good questions to ask a girl you like. That's a good list right there.
No,
this is
I
my
think that's
Steve
genuinely is the
Girl,
best
that's
question
smart.
of the two that he's asked. That's a good question.
It's a decent question.
Because I think we all have.
Why are you
like,
asking?
regrets.
Why are you asking a girl that you like these questions?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that would be
just
such a bit
just to
nice.
get the conversation
I
going.
think it's great. That's a better question for a podcast. Worse for a first date. Like, imagine going to the first date.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your biggest regret?
It's like, what have you done wrong
Yeah.
that you wish you could
What's
just-
wrong with you? And how?
Like, what are you doing here? What made you end up with me? You know, it's
Well,
like
Chandler, you ask that every day. Okay, so
I
Peter,
mean,
you're
I
time
do-
traveling, right? Is that,
Yeah.
He's thinking.
No, yeah, it's hard to think about because there's a lot of. Like, not that I'm not happy with where I am, but there's
Of
stuff
course.
that
You're
you
not
can
happy
think
with
about
where
that
you are.
change. No, I am happy about where I am, but like, there are some things like
Okay, Chandler.
one, it's hard whether I can change it about my life.
Yeah, hard weather.
Mm-hmm.
That was good.
That's funny.
That's good.
But I don't know. I guess I would ask myself to sustain a sport for longer and actually continue being athletic. I sort of regret not continuing track or like I was one of those kids that like hopped from sports and didn't get any good at any of them, and I'm not particularly naturally athletic, and so it
Well.
would take me some time clearly, and so I just wish I stuck with the sport at one
So
point.
you did track and what?
Wouldn't like in another sport.
You said
No,
you bounced from
okay.
sport to sport. You just
I
bounced
did
from track
well
to
from
track.
when I was like little. So
From
track
to
was the only
track.
real
You're not
sport
always
I
running
did.
on the same track.
That's
You're
No,
true.
when I was a
Different
little
tracks.
when I was a little kid, I went from
So last year.
soccer to basketball to flag football to
Not tackle football?
I feel like every little kid does
Yeah,
that. to
right.
some
No,
degree.
every little kid does it, but I would always, and then I did taekwondo for like 2 years.
Oh, nice.
But like I would always hate them. Like when I was 3, I would always cry at the soccer games at halftime just because I hated it so much.
Yeah.
It was such
Were you
a-
upset by the politics of what's going on?
I didn't like the mass of little kids all kicking at each other's shins,
Mhm.
and so I'd just run away, and then the ball would get near me, and then the massive kids would go.
That was the worst.
So I remember-
I
Right,
hated
it's horrifying.
soccer. Soccer's a terrifying sport as a kid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because you're literally trying to kick people.
I know,
That's the
it's-
only point of the game. That's all.
there's no passing.
There's no-
So it's like
yeah.
foot rugby, where you just kick other people. It's
No,
terrible.
I only ever did individual sports because, like, just team sports always terrified me.
You're not a team player.
No,
you
no,
hate
not
other
necessarily. It's like, it's just,
people. Necessary.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm very focused.
Yeah.
When I like
Other
to,
people
like,
get in the
I
way.
have one
You're
opponent.
more of a golf person.
Tennis.
No, I never played golf.
Okay.
I played tennis, yes.
Okay.
And I did taekwondo.
Tennis could be doubles. You're not good at doubles.
Doubles, I like singles better than doubles. And
Mm.
also, doubles is just kind of a different dynamic than singles. It's a
Wow,
lot.
there's literally two people.
Did you bring your racket?
No,
Okay.
but
brought my
I
racket.
should have.
Yeah.
I think you
Once
could
it gets-
probably. I assume. Well, I assume.
I
you
could
have,
go.
like, a
I'm going
CRC.
home this weekend. I could go get it.
Let's play. Let's do doubles.
Sure.
Right.
I want doubles.
I brought my racket. I'm not very good.
Connor can't.
But like
I can
wanna learn how
play.
to
I'm the best at tennis.
Well, there you go. Connor's going.
I can fun.
Sure.
No, let's up Dan play. That'd be interesting.
Oh yeah, Dan's
Have the podcast while we're playing.
We could do
Joey
that.
Sterling.
You know what? We could
Sterling,
have that.
Joey
We'll
Sterling.
we'll record like a video and we'll do
Connor
commentary.
We'll do
Yeah.
we'll do sport
We'll be the
commentary.
commentator.
Could we do that?
Would you like to be the play-by-play or the color
Yes.
commentator?
So we can play with
What's that
Connor.
mean?
So like the play-by-play is like the guy who talks like and blah blah blah. This is happening, and then like after the play, the color commentator kind of like makes extra remarks. They
No,
add
we do both.
color to it. No,
You do
one
both
is
at the
usually
same time.
yeah. You do it both at the same time, but it's like if you ever watch like any football game or any game at all, there's one person who calls
Right,
the
I'm kinda
play
confused how you
as
don't
the
know
play
this.
is going,
Huh?
and then there's the other person
Well, because I thought
It kind of
here's
adds
what I was
extra
thinking.
flavor.
I
Where
was
it's like,
thinking.
have to play. Let's analyze this or whatever.
I was thinking we would do the play-by-play, and then once he's done, then we would go to talking about it, and then we go back.
Yeah. So, but like, one of us would be designated. We don't. Each of us doesn't need to talk about how Chandler is taking the serve, and then he's
True.
and it's going back. It's more of a one person, and then the color commentator would be led by the other person, but it's obviously a back and forth.
How we do this? Tanner is the one doing the play-by-play.
No, Tanner is the one sitting in the chair, like just
Tanner's the ball boy.
Yeah.
Tanner's the
Tanner
ball
is
boy.
definitely the ball.
Tanner is the ball boy. We need someone who's handling that. He'd be happy to do that. He'd be so
He would.
happy
He would be
to
great.
be the ball boy. Just to be
He
involved.
just run out and go grab those balls. That's all he wants to do.
That's funny.
Yeah, well, maybe Chandler someday. Okay, so
Anyway,
next-
I also did Taekwondo, and
Okay.
that's again the same thing. It's like very individual. It's
Mhm.
not. I mean, and then unless you're sparring, in which case it's like again, there's only one opponent.
Sparring
It's not.
was freaky. I remember I got yelled at once because I'd always been down in sparring, and she's like, "People can just drop kick you when you do that."
Yeah,
And I
no,
was like,
don't. You shouldn't do that.
Oh yeah, you're right. Like I should probably stop doing that.
Smacking.
But I was like 11.
Mhm.
Honestly,
So last year.
right. Again, for some reason it's funny in Daniel's head to think that I'm a 12-year-old.
I mean, you are.
Oh, you're right. My bad. It's also funny in Chandler's head.
Oh, there you go.
This is top tier humor.
Yeah, top
That's the
tier
experience
humor.
podcast for you.
It's me and someone else.
Someone else.
Yeah, you just giggle at that. So I think we won
It
this
works. It works.
I was laughing at myself making fun of you, but yeah.
one. Doesn't matter.
You'd laugh. That's the end
We're
of
just
the
going for any
wants.
laugh. You don't have to laugh at our jokes. You just have to laugh at something.
Okay. I believe that.
So Chandler, I don't know what the question was.
It was about sports.
No.
No, it
It's
wasn't.
about what would
Oh,
you change
So
if
it
you were
was
back in time?
time travel. He wanted to go back and be more.
And be more sporty.
I would tell my younger self to stop complaining about practicing piano because I would be a much better pianist than I am.
You're already a really good
If
player.
I know, but I could
Okay.
be like a lot better
Okay.
because like I never until I didn't really practice enough until I was like 16.
These are both persistence things. Like everything
Yes.
I thought of was like I wish I would stick with or be more persistent with like schoolwork or whatever like that.
I mean, I have specific regrets, but they're
Right.
all pretty minor in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like whatever. It's like it happened. I've moved on. It's like it's not one way or the other. It's not like my life has been ruined by one instance. It hasn't.
No. You're doing
And my life hasn't been ruined because I didn't practice enough when I was
Right,
young.
right.
And it's just it would
Well,
be
maybe.
better. You know.
So Daniel, what about you?
No, these are for you guys. It's not
I know.
for us.
What's your favorite song
You
to play
can
on the
start.
piano?
My favorite song to play on the piano.
Chocolate.
It's not just. That is a really hard question, but I'm gonna go with a song y'all will probably not know. "All Was Well" by a band called the Vintergatan.
Oh my goodness.
That's my favorite.
That's my
I
favorite.
was just listening to that.
Holy crap.
Listen to the one right here.
I was thinking about that, yeah.
It's just a little waltzy kind of piece. It's
Of course, yeah.
pretty simple and I don't know. Vintergatan's
Well,
one
I
of my
like the
favorite
part
bands.
now here, like kind of, it kind of builds toward the middle, you know,
Yeah.
and then it settles down afterward. And that's
Uh-huh.
kind of the part where I really.
And your fingers are just
You
really,
really get
scattering
into
this
it.
way.
And the huh?
Mhm.
I said I'm really glad this is the bit we're going for.
Yeah, and so and then at the end, I mean the ending.
The ending.
I don't want to spoil. it.
No.
I don't
No,
want to
you
spoil
can't
the
spoil
ending.
the ending. It's,
And Chandler, you have to hear him gracefully go through the ending because it kind of that's where it really ties together because you kind of get lost in the middle.
You know the
Admittedly,
silence right after the ending? That's my bad. That's the best part.
Yep.
Right after.
when Chandler walks off. Yeah,
Yep,
but,
there you go.
but it really builds towards something.
It
You can really
does.
feel it. Everyone in the audience, you're almost
He has an
really hits on
audience.
his hands. Yes, I mean it's a metaphorical audience.
Oh, metaphorical.
Yeah.
I mean, I play-
kind of know.
What's
Hey.
your favorite song to play on the piano that we would know?
Ooh, let's think. I have played a lot of songs on
Right.
the piano.
Oh, a lot of songs. That's great.
Also,
Have you heard of the
Thursday, Under the Couch
Thursdays at 8 under the couch.
at 8.
I play
Chandler
every
is
week.
often playing in a band
I
or
play
by
every
himself.
Yep, I play
I
both.
didn't know
I
this.
usually
Yeah.
I usually play with my band and by myself.
And he
This is on
genuinely
band.
is really good. So go.
I appreciate that, Peter.
It's
I
fun.
was going this whole time. They have pizza there too, don't they?
Not always.
No.
Usually,
Well,
They
maybe
sometimes
I
have
don't
pizza.
there's like once or twice I've gone
Yeah.
and they've had pizza.
They would announce beforehand if they had.
You should
They don't
push
have pizza.
for them to have more pizza because I feel like It's not that expensive for a Club on Tech to get pizza, and it would
That's a
definitely
little
bring a lot.
expensive.
I would
Depends on how much
100% go
pizza
for the
you're
pizza,
getting,
and you,
obviously.
of course.
Yes.
If you're expecting 50 people there, that's a decent
I,
amount.
don't know,
of
I
pizza.
know the open mic officer. I could talk to him about it.
Right, that'd be cool. I'm not sure how much money they have, and sound equipment's expensive.
Well, they're going out of business anyway, so.
Oh,
Don't talk. Oh, that makes me so sad. I hate it. I love Under the Couch. It's no. Well, it'll work itself out though.
Right, they'll be somewhere else on campus.
There will be somewhere else and somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, there's like genuine open mic nights all around the city.
You can
Well,
go
yeah,
even
of
Rocky
course.
Mountain. They have open mic nights.
Do that.
For comedy, at least.
Really?
On Sunday nights, yeah.
Is
They
it
have
good?
open mic- no, it's usually bad. That's
Okay.
the thing. So.
Except
Rocky
you
Mountain's
go.
got good pizza.
Actually, my friend has told me he works there. He's like, you got to go because there's like it's bad. Because everyone they know it's open mic night, so it's just comedians at Rocky Mountain,
Yeah.
and none of them order anything. So it's just a bunch of single men sitting at like
That's
tables
awful.
by themselves.
Yeah, that's I don't
And
want
so
to
like
go to that.
so my friend who's a waiter there, he's like he gets
You should
upset,
perform.
and it's not that great anyway.
You should perform.
I'd have to rework my act because a lot of it's very catered toward the audience, obviously.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I need to
makes
really generalize it. I should have enough stuff to generalize it, but
I went to like a comedy night for voting.
that was me.
Was
Oh.
no different comedy night. I'm
Okay.
sorry. That was put on by like AKO, I think, which I just went to because I heard. I don't even know why, but there were like 7 people there in the audience. It was actually really funny. There were like as many comedians as there were people in the
Yeah.
audience. Terrible showing, but every comedian that went up there was actually really really funny. One of them was a professor at Georgia Tech, and he made a
Pete
joke
Ludovic?
about what?
Pete Ludovic?
I can't remember his name.
Probably who it was.
Yeah, because he's literally a professor.
And he's really
He's a
funny.
comedian.
But he made a joke about like a 8-dimensional cheerleader and how they'd be going up, and then like they'd just stop moving because all of their cheers were orthogonal to, our 4-dimensional.
But you don't
plane.
get that. So.
I do know what orthogonal means.
Okay.
Okay, fun fact: I'm a non-STEM major, but I went to a STEM school for a reason. I enjoy math and science.
Then why? No.
I don't know, Chandler.
You can find out more on Peter's Public Policy Politics
I kind of
podcast.
feel like I would really enjoy.
Available
enjoy
Sundays
it
at
as well.
6 a.m. Okay, so what's the next question?
I was looking through these
And
questions.
they're not good.
These are not good questions to ask.
Wow.
To ask a girl that you
I
like.
could
To
not have
ask
guessed.
a girl you.
Go to the 24 questions to make somebody fall in love with you that the New York Times.
This was the
These are the New York Times.
top 100
This is the New
questions
York
to
Times.
ask a
No,
I'm not
girl.
saying 100.
To get a girl to like you, and this is clearly not
No,
getting
I
a girl
want
to
to
like
fall in love.
24 questions to fall in
I-
love.
Right.
Never mind.
Well, there's 36 questions by the New York Times.
you.
My
Okay,
bad. Okay,
oh, you
36.
have to pay for it.
I have 0 articles remaining.
All right, I've got articles. No, just go on private.
That's fine. There's another one.
Oh,
It, when you erase the
ask
cookies,
a
you
question.
can go on
Ask a
it.
question.
No, you could have just said
Trust
open
me.
link in private.
You know how
I use that a lot.
Okay, well,
I erased my cookies solely for the purpose of reading more New York Times articles.
yeah, sure.
That's how you do it.
That's the only reason.
I
The only
spend
reason.
a lot of, no, like legitimately.
You know, you're cheating them out of money.
Yeah.
You're
I
stealing.
know.
You're
Look,
stealing.
I get it.
How else are they gonna make money?
You're a college student. It's justifiable.
Is it though? Can
No,
you go
it's
steal from a
not.
bank? It's the same thing.
Well, it's not stealing.
I'm-
It is.
No.
It's stealing.
No, it's not.
It's not stealing.
It's
being-
intellectual property.
No,
Well,
because
it is property.
it's being it's. I wouldn't consider it stealing because it's not like I'm republishing it for myself or whatever. Like it is a pretty glaring loophole.
It's okay. Let me ask you this. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
If there's a New York Times, the paper itself, at a grocery
It's different.
store, how is that different?
Because that is within the store and it's being sold there.
Let's
They
say it's the New
offer-
York
they
Times. Let's say
offer
the
the-
New York Times
They
has a
offer
store.
free articles.
Let's say the New York Times has a store and they're selling New York Times.
This is more akin to somebody handing out like a free newspaper to one person and me sending somebody and going, hey, I already got a newspaper. Can you go get a newspaper and give it to me?
Yeah, but there's still people that pay for the subscription.
I'm one of those. I'm just too lazy to log in sometimes.
Oh, so you do pay for the subscription?
Oh God! Well, it's
Let's-
like under the student one. so it's like $5.
Now that we've tied this together, go ahead.
Anyway.
I'll bring up a question.
And I do it mostly for the
Any
crossword.
better questions?
I will say this. I wouldn't ask these either. I wouldn't say I'm the best dater in the world, but these things.
He has a big date story that we'll get to later in
in
boy.
never.
in
Recent?
Never. No.
No, it was last semester. It was
It wasn't even.
Fairly
I
recent.
guess it wasn't.
okay.
It's a big reveal.
Wow.
We're saving up
It's a
for,
big
for
reveal
our season finale.
For the season
Are
finale.
you gonna bring the girl on?
no. She
I
lives in
think-
this building though.
I don't know. I think that'd be really
I've
funny.
seen her before.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you have.
I don't know. So you won't tell me who it is.
I think that'd be really funny.
I don't.
If you brought it.
It actually would be really
It would
funny.
be really great.
That would be
I think
amazing.
I would do it for the meme, but
She wouldn't.
She
I would. I would. I
No,
know
she
she
wouldn't.
She would not do it. She would never come.
What if we get? No, never mind. I don't want to trick her into coming to the podcast.
I don't know. I
We
think
have
it's
done
funny.
that before. We've tricked Owen into coming to the podcast, so
How do you trick someone into going on a podcast?
it's a thing. Go ahead.
Okay. This is a question for whoever answers first. What does friendship mean to you?
It's a really cheesy question.
It is. It's too cheesy.
Well, let me answer. I'll answer then, because I have. And yeah, go ahead. Turn your chair around because it's the whole thing. See, the thing is, it's kind of a broad question, obviously, and you can narrow it down however you
Thanks for
want. There's
giving us more
different
information
specific.
about the
Yeah,
question.
there's different specifics that you can get into, but I like to kind of take a top down approach.
Of course.
Where you look at the top and you kind of
inverted-
trickle down.
This is such a heavy philosophical
You
question.
This is
trickle,
a
it's,
one.
you trickle it down,
You
and you
just
really
turn
have
top.
to. You really have to dig deep here, obviously, because of how of the parameters at stake, and how each thing can kind of affect the next thing. And so that's kind of my answer for what does friendship mean to
No,
you?
thank you.
Yeah.
So friendship to you is trickle down economics.
No, I didn't say that. I said
I
it
think
was
that's
more of a
exactly-
broad.
And I think
kind
that's
of
exactly
thing,
what you
and
said.
That's what I heard.
It's you're on your phone, so it's.
I was listening. You don't need to be. You don't need your eyes to listen, Daniel. But he's a chemical engineer.
I don't
Maybe
understand
a
how that
biomedical
works. Yeah, I
engineer,
don't
maybe
understand.
something. I don't know. Friendship is. God, this sounds
You can do
cheesy.
it.
I don't know. It's trust. Like
Oh, that's so
it's a
cute.
certain amount of trust in a relationship, where it's like you're willing. You don't have that same guard that you have around, strangers and things like that. And you've gotten to a certain point where you understand and know things about the other person. I don't know.
God, I feel like I'm at a youth group.
That sounds like a really clinical.
Would you say that you're friends with Tanner?
Yeah.
Oh, he just somewhere he just cried.
That
I mean, he's always crying.
sounds like a really clinical definition.
What?
What the one I gave?
Trust?
Yeah.
I mean, kind
That's
of,
pretty
but at the
accurate.
same time, it works.
Right.
That's
I don't know,
what
it's actually
friendship
pretty
means to you. So,
No, that actually wasn't the question.
huh?
Wait, was that
The question was,
What
what does
does
friendship mean to
friendship
you?
mean?
Yeah.
you.
What is your definition?
Does
Not
that mean
what is friendship.
Yeah. What is
Yeah.
What is love?
Baby, don't hurt
Baby,
me.
don't hurt me.
Baby, don't hurt me.
Yeah.
All right. So Chandler, you hate Dan. Why? And he's.
Who said I hate dads?
That's what a
it? Why
loaded
do you
question.
hate Dan?
It's a
I
loaded
thought he
question.
considers you his friend, so that's why I'm asking.
Listen, Dan is a man, and that's really all I can say. He,
Well, clearly, he doesn't like Dan. Yeah.
I don't know. He is. I don't know who he is. Who are we talking about?
I don't know.
Chandler,
But friend-
deny the premise first.
What?
Deny the premise. The premise of the question is that you hate Dan.
Well, I was trying to decide whether to go along with the joke or to just
and
keep
you just
denying
it was just neither.
Look, they've got.
I didn't.
a
I
mildly
couldn't
aggressive
decide.
stance during this podcast.
I know that.
We need to match that.
His
Ah,
aggression.
it's just this like the back of this chair is not very.
I don't mean literally how you're sitting.
Yeah.
Albeit y'all are both sitting very aggressively.
Well, because it's like the back of the chair. I don't want to lean away from the mic too,
Okay.
because
Well,
I
that's
don't want
what
the
I'm
sound. Yeah, you're doing that, and it's fine because you talk.
Oh, here we go.
Here
Turn
we
the
go.
chair
Turn
around.
the chair
Gotta
around,
love
so
that.
he's connecting.
Now I really
No.
feel like I'm at a youth group.
He's
Yeah,
connecting.
here we go.
He's connecting with the kids now because
Uh-huh.
he's cool.
Oh my god. I was walking this way, speaking of youth group.
Oh
There
yeah. I
was
remember this.
a really, really funny picture of,
And
like
show the
the
picture
churches.
on the podcast.
Well, no,
That's
I
good.
need to read it. There, the churches will put up those different signs that say things,
Mhm.
and they're sometimes funny. But this one was a long time ago in a Galilee far away.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah, it's been up for like 3 weeks. So
Oh,
it's-
it must-
I
it's
laughed like 3
hilarious.
weeks ago when I saw
Okay.
it. So.
Well, the listeners haven't seen it. Maybe.
okay.
Oh, 15? Does it still average about?
It was up to 14 now.
It was up to 14.
Yeah, so-
Well, I said 15, so that's
Yeah,
definitely
but it was supposed to like the play on words. You were expecting me to say something higher, and I said something lower.
Oh.
This is part of the.
This is how humor works.
Right,
It's,
my
it's
bad.
the part of the.
My
fun.
mom listened to the one that I was on.
Really?
Did
Yeah,
she really?
she listened to the whole thing in the car with my little sister.
And she was okay with it?
Yeah, I mean,
You're pretty open with your parents.
yeah, I'm very open with everybody. Like,
yeah, but the stuff he said on this podcast,
It was out there.
That was one of our most out there.
no, it's okay.
He's got to take a drink of his water.
He's got to take a second for this.
Okay, this is called.
Still-
It sounded like I was implying things that were worse than I said. Like, I don't think I said anything.
No, you really didn't say anything.
I still haven't listened to this episode, so I have no idea what we're talking about.
Have you at least listened to your episodes?
I have listened to parts of my episodes, and then I hate the sound of my voice recorded, so I then immediately stopped.
I've gotten used to it.
Oh, you listen to
Well, I
my
mean, you always
episodes?
eventually get used to
I
it, I'm
guess.
sure,
Do
because...
you listen, Connor?
Huh?
You
Every
listen?
once in a while.
Every once in a while. You gotta click through. Just,
Click through.
You live
I
the
want to do a
memories.
podcast. I'll just listen to my own.
yeah, exactly.
Dude, I listen to way too many podcasts.
Including the Experience Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Available on podcast.com, iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube.
No. Is it available on Stitcher?
No.
Why not?
I don't know
Connor's
what
working on
Stitcher
getting it
is.
on Spotify, but
Yeah.
he's been trying to do that for months.
It's been a while. It's been working on
I
it
think you
for a
have to pay
while.
to get on Spotify.
You might.
InfoWars was on it. I could be on
Y'all
it.
should get into the like stuff you should know circle, because you know that they're like the #1 podcast. They have like 50 million downloads, and they're headquartered in Hunt City Market.
That's where we gotta go. But would they recruit us, do you think?
You could get
Absolutely.
absolutely. They have their own experience podcast where you have to go in and talk about your experience, which I just realized is actually kind of really funny. But no, they've got a whole recording booth. You know, I'm sure like if you showed interest and maybe wanted to like, I don't know, shadow every Sunday or Saturday, you could meet Josh Clark.
Josh Clark.
The
They
other
look pretty
Josh.
savvy
Did y'all
people.
ever listen to Stuff You Should Know?
No, it wasn't something I needed
It's
to
like
know.
the staple podcast.
State.
It's like
Why are they
they've
talking
been
about
doing it
Staples?
since 2011. They probably do have an episode on Staples.
So they used to record in Staples?
No,
Hmm.
but they probably do have an
Well,
episode
well,
on Staples.
that
It's
makes
genuinely
sense.
good. It's great.
I'm sure it is.
They also have stuff they don't want you to know, which is one that talks about either like weird events that have happened, genuine things that sound like they should be conspiracies but like aren't. Kind of like MK Ultra, and then there was Project Azorian when the U.S. paid a billionaire to be like, we're doing deep sea oil rigging, when in reality it was a U.S. military mission to pick up a nuclear subs that the Russians lost. And like it was like this whole public media campaign about how this really rich guy was going out to deep sea oil drill, and it was like 10 years later they were like, yeah, just kidding, we picked up a sub out there. Which is hilarious to me, because I'm like, that if somebody told me that didn't have the identifying documents to back it up, I'd be like, that's stupid. Why are you lying to me? But the other conspiracy theories are stupid. Like, we definitely landed on the moon, and the Earth is round.
This is round.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
thought the Earth was a
No, they changed it back again.
It's a donut.
What do you want?
It's a donut.
It's a donut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, Chandler's getting a call. Where's the call from?
It's my mother, but I know what she's calling about.
Why
And
don't you have your mother's number to your phone?
my contacts got all screwed
Oh,
up.
okay.
So I'm
Why don't you
just-
answer? Why don't you answer the phone?
Because I know exactly what she's calling about, and
It's not an emergency.
it is not an emergency.
What is it?
Podcast.
What is it? Yeah.
We talked about it earlier. It's just like this form I need to get signed.
Why did you
and
talk
she-
about it on the podcast?
I'm not gonna call my mother on the podcast.
Connor
That's
called his
fair.
mother on the
Call my
podcast
mother on the
once. She doesn't
podcast.
answer him, but
No.
Damn.
She blocked me
I'm
a while
not-
ago.
Listen, my mother was to hear a word of any of these podcasts. She'd hate it.
why?
My mother's
Awesome.
My mother, I don't hate my mother, but she is definitely of very different opinions than I am and everyone here really.
This is not really an opinion.
Don't
show.
assume you know my opinion.
Yeah.
You've told me, Peter. You
Peter,
tell people your opinions all the
No, I
time.
don't. They've changed. They're
Peter,
flipping.
people have stories, horror stories about how they get caught listening to your opinion. They're like, there's a whole group chat now of how to get away from Peter's conversations about his opinions. It's like, oh, I got caught. It's like a survivor
Do
group.
you know that I used to write opinion articles for the Dirty State Signal? It's a good outlet.
Really?
Yeah. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of work, though. I'm an opinionated guy. What can I say?
That's
Yeah, well, that's what you get on Peter's Public Policy Politics podcast.
Alright, sometimes I wish I didn't get into politics. Because it's so cliche. Like, I'm an outgoing, talkative, opinionated white guy. and going
The
into
white guy is
politics.
very important, obviously.
Right. Well, because it's just so stereotypical, and so like there's a billion of us out there.
Yeah.
A billion.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't
Yeah,
count
it's a
them all, so I
billion.
wouldn't know.
Yeah, he hasn't learned how to count.
It's a lot.
I'm at 2 right now.
Exactly.
And so it's one of those things where like, should I be forcing myself to go into like an engineering field and then use those like communication skills in a field that, no offense to the engineers,
Sucks.
don't always have the best communication skills? Or am I sort of like wasting whatever I have because I'm now with the like, I'm slightly above average communication skills and I'm putting myself in a bin with like the people who are, really great communication skills, great public speakers, stuff like that.
I don't know. Just do whatever you want to do. Something you shouldn't force yourself to do anything.
I don't know, I sort of feel like people always talk about like just find your passion and do it. It's a really hard thing to do,
Well, you see, I don't know. I don't always agree with the whole like find your passion thing
Right.
because like I never want to be a musician like as a career. Like I've thought about it, but you make no money.
No.
People
Unless you're the
Huge.
top.
unless you've made it big, which is like winning the lottery.
Yes.
It's like almost impossible. I definitely do not have enough. I have self-confidence. I think I'm a decent musician, but I'm
Right.
not.
Yeah, you've made it this far. You should be at least decent.
But yeah,
Right.
I think
no
I'm
one
okay.
keeps playing through your age that like is
that's
awful.
terrible.
Yeah,
And if you go
Except for Connor.
on Thursday at 8, head under the
you can.
couch.
Yeah,
You
you
can
can
find
go.
out.
You can
Yeah.
go.
Just
find
how
this-
decent Chandler
You
is.
can see just how just how all right I am.
He's all right. That's
He's
what it
great.
says on his Tinder
Actually-
profile. He's all right.
I mean, actually,
Alright.
though, are the band that we have?
Oh, yeah.
It's all right.
I'm not kidding. Our name is the All Right Fellas.
You all right?
I'm not kidding
Yeah,
you there.
that's legitimate.
It's
like
great.
One of the first
We're all
bands
right.
so.
Anyway,
All right. So,
but
Moving on.
I disagree with that. But I disagree with the whole
Right.
family passion thing because
I mean, all right.
What? I disagree with the whole find your passion thing because I would not want to have music as my job because it eventually, if you have something as your job, at some point it will not be fun anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ruin music for myself by forcing myself to do it until I've stopped having fun.
But
I want
even
to
with
remain-
hobbies and things like that, I've always had a hard time finding a hobby. Like, and finding something that I enjoy doing.
Well, you like running.
I run. I've stopped running.
Okay, never mind.
He doesn't like
Yeah.
running.
You play an instrument. You play a musical instrument. Do you not enjoy that
I
anymore?
mean, I do marching band.
Yeah, do you not enjoy that?
That's
I
fair.
don't particularly enjoy it. I'm thinking about not doing it. I've thought about quitting basically every year before going
Yeah?
to marching band. No, it's always hard. Yeah, it's just weird.
People have been
and
asking.
it's something I
like,
try not to.
I can't wait for Peter to come back next year.
Like, I way overthink everything, and I think that's part of the issue.
You do.
And so, but there will just be times where I'm just like, sometimes I feel like I force myself to do things that are harder for me, and then I'm not, and so like, even to the point second guessing like whether I'm right-handed because my older sister was right-handed, and I just assumed that's how people worked, because I've got like notoriously bad, and like I'm do some things left-handedly. But, like, that's the level of overthinking.
You are definitely overthinking.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's a big,
Do not what the hand that you write with is the hand that like don't-
Right? No, like, it should be that simple. Unfortunately, for me, it's not. Like, I absolutely agree.
Even people who are ambidextrous have one they slightly prefer. Like
a sense of self. I have no sense of self. Like, that's more complicated.
this is getting into some again. If you want to listen to that, go listen to Peter's.
Peter
Public
Code
policy.
Yeah, hype me up on
Politics.
hype me up on philosophy podcasts and then get me going.
Peter's Public Policy and Philosophy
podcast. There you go.
Unfortunately,
Politics
that P
podcast.
is
Yeah.
pronounced as an F.
Yeah.
because it's P.
Philosophy.
What's up with that? Who decided that P
English?
should be pronounced as an F?
Someone was bored one day.
I think it has something to do with like
Phil was bored one day.
Phil.
He was like,
I think it has something
let's
to do
change
with
my
switch
name.
it up.
Yeah, let's switch it up.
Hill.
Yeah, Phil was like, this is ridiculous.
I think it has something to do with like old English characters, like
Maybe.
like Thorn and Ash. Have you
Yeah.
know those characters?
Well,
But even
and
so,
then the-
English evolves every
Why?
all
You are
the time.
your Y was pronounced TH. I know that one.
Yeah, exactly. Except it wasn't a Y; it was actually a different character.
Okay.
But then they put Y because they didn't have the
Like
when the printing
presses?
press. Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't have the character, so they were like, put a Y there. That's why you have yield.
There was no
It's not
standardized
pronounced
English.
yield; it's pronounced yield. But
So because the most like written language was Latin, because it was used in academic text, like English wasn't really standardized until after the printing press came.
yeah,
in.
exactly.
And I find that insane. Versus like Arabic, which because the Quran was the first written text,
Yeah.
where Arabic became written at all. Like modern Arabic, it's definitely changed since then, but you can still like read the Quran. Whereas if we read Beowulf,
It's like
it's
no.
nonsense.
Not complete nonsense, but like
Right.
it's like it's very difficult.
I love like old Scottish because they just like it sounds like they just flip around words. I'm gonna try to find some like.
You better
old
read
Scottish
some old
phrases.
Scottish to us.
No, there are lots of fun.
Scottish people are pretty fun.
Right? Have you seen those like Scottish
Yes,
tweets?
of course. Who hasn't? It's like
I haven't seen the Scottish tweets.
It's
I'm
very
kinda
out of the
behind
loop.
here.
Yeah, very out of the
it's
loop.
fair. It's just
These-
Scottish people on Twitter talk funny. That's really all the joke is.
As
You
Peter
got the
pulls
speaker.
it up.
Well, no, y'all can like keep talking. It's
No,
really
we're all waiting for you here.
Alright, this is
all,
gonna,
this
like-
is all waiting for
It's gonna take a while.
because it's not just like
You can ask me
all-
another question.
Time is
Can
money.
I bring something up that I was thinking about today?
Okay.
So
weird.
I've always wanted to get knuckle tattoos, right?
Okay.
Okay.
And
Now let me ask you:
yeah,
are you going to prison?
knuckle tattoos.
not like right here.
Are you going to prison?
You're
soon?
gonna
Tattoos of knuckles
Yeah.
on his
Of
knuckles.
knuckles
I'm gonna-
on your knuckles.
But here's the thing: is like I want to get like a job too and stuff, and it's
Yeah,
like
that's
you can't,
not gonna work.
And plus, you can't just have knuckle tattoos and have the rest be like open. So
That's
here's what I
also
was
weird.
thinking: I want to have toe tattoos. I want to have toe tattoos.
There you go.
Is that
Toe
would that be cool?
tattoos.
You know, you have your flip flops. You're on. You know,
Ooh,
Same
your
size
boobs
feet.
are big,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you want to get a girlfriend?
yeah. But the thing is, like
Your
by the time
booms
your
with the
girlfriend is too
window.
late. She
What?
You're talking nonsense.
Yeah, you never.
never
Your
tell.
boom's at the window.
Huh?
Your boom's at the window. You're talking nonsense. And like obviously it's an idiom, like your
Yeah.
butt's out the window. But just like the fact that window is window, and it just sounds like somebody took English and like put it through a translator, like a learning AI, and then tried to bring it back, and they just sort of screwed up everything along the way. Like it's not quite there, and I love it.
Did you watch the SNL of that? It was like the flight crew, and they were getting lost.
How long ago was that?
It was just last night.
Just last night? No. I've
It's
seen
fine.
all of the stuff show up on YouTube, and I'm looking at them. I'm like, but if I watch one of these,
You
I'm gonna
Watch
watch
all
all
keep
of
going.
them, Yeah.
Did you
Never
watch
stop.
SNL live
Huh?
Saturday night?
No, I watched it because I didn't watch it Saturday. I watched it just the clip on YouTube.
Yeah. Does anyone watch SNL live?
I usually watch it.
I don't.
Can you say, do you watch SNL live? Is that repetitive?
Yeah, there's a
I
difference
think
between
that's
SNL
fair.
Live and SNL.
SNL.
Because SNL has sort of transcended the meanings of each individual word.
It's like DC Comics. It's like, can't really.
Because live,
Detective
it's
Comics
Saturday
comics. Detective Comics.
night. Detective Comics.
You know, it's like,
I feel like that's not this. I feel like that's not the same as saying ATM machine. I feel like it's a little bit different because like you would say Marvel Comics and DC Comics. Like it's like a little bit more like you wouldn't just say like if you were specifying. I don't know. Because DC has become so much more than comics, so it's like it makes sense to specify that you actually are talking about comics. But like with an ATM machine, everyone knows what an ATM is, and it's not in anywhere else. So like if you say ATM machine, it's dumb.
Can I give you a hand? Like that is how it's. It sounds like somebody
Can you
just.
say that one more time in your Scottish accent?
Now that you put me on the spot,
Can I
like,
be?
No, I like you to say it out loud. I can't
No.
read.
Which one is it?
Can I give you a hand?
Oh, I see it. That's funny.
Wow, real funny. all the podcast listeners
Connor,
are
stop
dying
laughing. It's
laughing
funny.
right now.
Look, if we edited this, it would be a lot more.
Yeah, but it would also be like 5 minutes of funny things surrounded
That's
by
fair.
because 55
You
minutes
could
of
hire. You know that
bullshit
website Fiverr?
conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
could,
they're-
like you could just send somebody to edit
You
this.
have to pay someone something though.
$5.
$5.
That's too much.
I'd
how
pay
could-
We
that.
have no budget.
I'd sponsor it.
Really?
Would
You
you buy a
would?
T-shirt?
No.
Would you buy an Experience Podcast T-shirt?
No,
What about?
Steven said he would.
what-
So
It would look like Charlie Brown with like the yellow and black. That would look dumb.
might just be the logo.
Here's the
But the yellow.
guarantee. Okay, an experienced shower curtain, would you get that?
Yes.
See? That's a 50. That's one for 2.
Because just to confuse
An
anybody
apron.
that ever
I don't
used,
cook,
my
but
bad.
an apron.
There you go.
Aprons
That's
are
another
fun
story.
to wear.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting that you say that. Okay. Hmm.
Aprons, because you just feel like, I don't know. So last Thursday, I ended up on a
There
bird
we go.
and an apron and a scoot, and a suit. Scooter was in my head. And a suit. Because I came back from Chatham Day at the Capitol, which like they had a bunch of seafood, and they gave us free apron, which was cool. And then I got to Midtown Station, was going to take the tech trolley back to my dorm, but I just missed it, and I didn't feel like waiting for the next one to come, so I wanted to go take a bird scooter, but the apron was in my hand, so I had to put an apron on over my suit and then the bird back.
I don't think it was
just
like.
hold on to it.
There's no way. Yeah.
It's so difficult when you're riding a scooter. Like, okay, look, I fell while riding a bird scooter, and now I'm like horrified of doing it again.
And you were still got on one again.
Like, I still have a scar.
Wear a helmet.
I didn't hit my head.
But you could.
I could have. I was okay. So the story for this is actually really funny.
That means it's not.
No, this
We'll go
one.
with it.
So it was raining,
That's
and I'm
That's
like
all
riding
right.
the bird around, and I'm taking all the corners slowly because it's raining. And
Safety
I'm not
first.
that stupid.
Well,
I am.
And so like, but normally when it's dry, like before I crashed, I was pretty reckless when I'd ride. Like, you know, you could, if you put your weight correctly, you could like slide the back wheel and turn sharper, stuff like that. And so I'm doing that, and I see my roommates in front of me, like by 50 feet, and so I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And I speed up and I go, like, haha, losers, and then I take a really sharp turn and just completely eat it across the ground. And I slide like 5 feet across the ground. I tore up my jacket. I gave myself a scar, you know, cuts everywhere. I didn't hit my head, but it was embarrassing, to say the least. Just like zoomed past them.
Damn.
It's the worst reaction to that story I've ever gotten.
The only
I
thing.
think it was because I preceded it with it. That was a funny story.
yeah, don't start stories like, this is going to be great.
Uh-huh.
Hold on. You're going to laugh a lot at the end.
The only thing of interest I've ever done on a scooter is it was very late at night. It was like 12.
Is this a funny story?
It's.
Okay.
That's a good start right there because we don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah. And I was like 12:30 late at night. I am
Tired.
I'm quite tired. And I'm riding along, I'm swerving a little bit, but I'm good. And this pack of like 4 guys rolls up next to me, and one of them is on a skateboard, and he's just kind of rolling slowly along. And he's like, high five! And he's like totally kidding because he can tell that I'm like out of it. But then I somehow managed to reach out and give him a high five while like leaning over and almost like falling. And I gave him a high five. And it was like a really good high five too. Like I'm talking like
that.
like good shit.
Sounds like a good high five.
And then I just turn away and I heard them cheering as I left, and I felt like the most awesome person in the world.
That's a pretty good story.
That is a good story. See, that was done really well.
We should end the podcast there just because it was such a good story.
Yeah, how do we follow that?
And that's the show this week.
Is it? I don't know how long it is.
Oh, that's good enough.
Oh.
Chandler, where can people find you?
What?
You got plug anything?
Come see me at Under the Couch
No,
Thursday
I
at
set
8.
him up and he couldn't even do it.
I literally just didn't hear what you said. I was totally not paying attention.
That's
I
all
mean, do you
right.
think I pay attention to you like at all? Ever?
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Peter, go ahead.
I deleted all my social media
When?
like a while ago. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Peter Tilley. There's a space between it because it's a name.
You should just come see me Thursday at 8. That's all.
Yeah, go. Yeah, don't.
And connect with him on LinkedIn.
I don't have LinkedIn.
Huh? You don't have LinkedIn?
No, I don't. You should get
You
LinkedIn.
should get LinkedIn.
Yeah,
probably
you should. LinkedIn.
Daniel didn't. I couldn't find your.
You don't have LinkedIn?
Yeah, I don't need one.
You kind of need one. That'd probably help with getting the
Do
whole
you?
job
Probably
thing.
get you into graduate school.
They're like.
No, you are.
That was
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Probably get into PhD school.
All right.
No, I'm not doing that. Alright, that's the show.
Bye.
Connor, anything?
No, that's it.